What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. You guys, welcome back to Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news, a place for you guys just to come and talk about the stuff that you love. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Brown. I'm here all the time. And you guys, today is a very special day. Now, on our slate, we have a few different things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the new Loki poster that was just revealed and the release date. We're going to talk about Jim Carrey possibly being the villain in Deadpool 3, the upcoming Deadpool 3. And also, we're going to talk about Godzilla vs. Kong, which comes out next weekend. Some of you, I'm sure, are going to want to talk about the new Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to do a live stream after this show. So today's going to be a two-parter. If you're just tuning in today for the first time, welcome. We're just going to talk about all things movies and movie news today, specifically trying to keep to these main subjects and main topics. And at the end of the show, we will take everybody's live questions. So if you have a comment, question, fan theory, anything you want to talk about, jump down into the comments section below and we'll talk about it during the show. Or rather, in the second part of the show. But helping me talk about all things movies and movie news today, you've seen him, you know him, you love him, Mr. Blair Peyton! Woo, 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 woo!
Hey, it's such a pleasure to be here. And I just got to say, the thing about Zack Snyder, I feel like that's a dig at me just because I haven't seen it yet. But that is a 4-hour commitment.
It is a 4-hour. You are not wrong, sir. That takes some special focus skills.
I mean, me and my roommate, we were sitting in our living room last night, and we just finished Drag Race UK, and we were like, all right, it's 9 p.m. What do we want to watch? And we had talked about it, and we seriously looked at the screen on HBO Max, and we just kept looking at that runtime of 4 hours and 2 minutes, and we're like, do we do it? Needless to say, we did not. It's just like, I have so much to do.
Well, that was us. When I first presented this idea to Kim, my fiance, I was like, "Hey, so Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming out on Thursday, and it's a 4-hour movie." And she's like, "Hard pass. You watch it without me." And I'm like,
"She's like, I will leave you."
Okay, sounds good. And then when I explained that it was on HBO Max and it's like released in segments, she's like, "Oh, I thought it was like 4 hours in the movie theater."
That is new information. I thought it was a 4-hour clump too.
It is a 4-hour clump, but if you like when you play the movie, you can see there are like little if you like push pause or whatever, and like the runtime bar pops up at the bottom of the screen,
like commercial breaks.
Yeah, you can see the commercial breaks. You can see the breaks in there with like little bullet points or whatever, so you can just kind of like go through. It plays as a 4-hour movie, but you can see where the breaks are in the movie itself.
No, I just don't know if I have a strong desire to see it because I haven't seen a lot of the DC movies. Like, I feel like the last DC movie I saw, no joke, was probably Batman and Robin in theaters.
What? Yeah. So you haven't seen Man of Steel?
Sorry. That's a lie. I have seen Man of Steel.
Okay.
But the thing was, I was dating this guy at the time, and he put it on, and we watched it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I've done that. Have you seen Wonder Woman?
No, everyone says it's amazing. I started to watch Wonder Woman 1984. I'm very chaotic in my viewing. Yeah. And we got through up to the part where that guy attacks Kristen Wiig in the park. And
so you got like halfway into it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought that was just the beginning. Well, we stopped and watched 90 Day Fiancé. It's priorities.
You probably had a better time with 90 Day Fiancé. Yeah, Wonder Woman 84, it's one of those movies that you want to just be like really fun, and it falls so flat. The first film is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, there's so many DC Justice League movies. Guys, we are going to talk about all of that stuff later. But
yeah, not now.
Yeah, no.
We're adding nothing new.
Yeah, yeah, no. Blair, before we continue on with this movie news type stuff, you host your own podcast called You Go First with Blair Peyton. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh, it is such an auditory experience for your ear holes that you should definitely acquire an RSS link and listen to the whole thing. Yeah, so it's a podcast. I started it. This is season 3, and yeah, it's basically it's just a chat show. We try to keep it light, very fun, no heavy topics like politics or anything because I can't even.
The world sucks enough.
Yeah, the world sucks. We don't need to add to it. And to be honest, I don't have anything to contribute to that. You've heard it all before from varying degrees. So we try to keep it light. It's just, I want it to feel like two friends just having a conversation. So that's kind of the first half. And then the second half, which plays into the title of the show, is 20 questions or 20 minutes. So it's literally, usually when we're together, it plays a little better, but because we draw it out of a vase.
Ooh.
But it's just random questions. Some of them are serious. Some are light in nature. Some are just dumb as hell. But it's fun, and I participate too because I've had a lot of weird stuff happen to me. So
why wouldn't you?
So that's kind of the general theme of the show.
And I was on your most recent episode.
I know! It just came out Wednesday, so you should definitely check it out.
All the links are down in the description already, so just go to find your favorite podcasting app, and the link is already listed right there for you in the description of this video.
And I don't know if you've talked about how much you've spent on all your trinkets behind you.
Oh, man. I don't know how much I've spent on this particular collection, but the previous collection...
When I was editing the episode, though, I called it paraphernalia, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm using that word correctly. And then I looked it up, and that's what you call drugs.
Well, I mean, paraphernalia has one of those connotations that is both technical and also has kind of like a negative aspect to it.
Okay, well, I was not trying to put negativity on how much you've spent because, I mean, I've probably spent that at least on DVDs.
Oh, man, it's so easy. It's so easy. When I shared the clip, like the teaser clip with my friends, and the tag was like, Mike Brown spent $5,000 on his collectibles. I sent it to my friends, and they were like, "Oh, that's it? That's all you've spent?"
See, that feels like a lot to me, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not.
Like when you get into like some of the high-end comics and some of the posters, not to mention like the artwork and statues and stuff like that, like they were saying it's probably closer to maybe like 60-75 grand. This is also over the course of like many years of collecting, but still.
True.
Still,
What was your first thing you ever purchased? Your first collectible? Take us back.
It was not something that I purchased if
it goes into your collection, we'll just say the first thing you ever acquired.
It was a Lord of the Rings action figure of Frodo, but like a really high-end action figure of Frodo. And it was my best friend from college, Dwayne. He bought it for me because he knew how much I loved Lord of the Rings. And at the time, this was long before I was a toy collector. And he was just like, "Oh, hey, here's this really cool thing that Mike's gonna like." And he gave it to me, and I opened it up, and I'm like, "Oh, cool, you got me a toy." Okay. But that's really kind of what sparked it, is that I had no intentions on being a toy collector. And it was also at a weird time where I was like, who am I? I'm trying to fit in with like the cool crowd, and like, what is the cool crowd, and like and it just, yeah. So I loved it because it helped me, it helped remind me of like who I really am, and like like screw what anybody else thinks. Like, I just get to be me, So
yeah, it's so weird because like in that like right out of like even like I would say from like high school to like just after college, you're still like trying to figure things out. So any the idea of buying like a toy that you initially would want, you're like, no, people are gonna judge me. But now I'm just like, I mean, this is Dorothy from the Golden Girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
B. Arthur.
is it starts with a D, the type of the company that comes out with it. It's like, or it's not Orbeez, but it's Derbies?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Well, okay, I think it's a Funko. Yeah,
Yeah.
Funko.
Okay, it is Funko.
Yeah.
But it has like it's like Funko is the company, but there's also like the type. So like
Yeah, I don't know.
so like these are Funko, but these are Funko Pops. That's Funko, but it's Funko. I can see like the style of logo in my mind. I can't. Anyway, we'll come back to this real quick. I want to jump to the comment section. Normally we save comments for the end of the show, but Crip is here. Crip coming all the way from the UK. Crip, how are you doing, sir? He says your boy is back. Well, thanks for joining us again, Crip. This is life savings right there. I know this is. Yeah, in some ways I'm embarrassed by my collectibles, and others I'm just like, no, this is wonderful. Crip says, oh, go ahead.
British accent, if you'd like to hear it at some point.
Lay it on us, Slim.
Hello, Governor!
Nope, that's terrible.
I refer to that as my Dick Van Dyke impression of someone
That's
being
exactly what that is. Crip says, my first collectible was the first print of The Killing Joke. Hang on a second. What? Hang on. You have a first print of The Killing Joke? I have to ask. Well, it depends on what the quality is. What grade is that? Because if you have a high grade of The Killing Joke, hang on one second. If you have a high grade of The Killing Joke, let's just say it's 7.5 or higher, we're talking thousands of dollars. If it hasn't been graded and if it's in poor condition, I'm going to say maybe you spent maybe like $200 on this thing. What's the UK equivalent in pounds? Let's say 100 pounds. I'm going to say that you spent 100 pounds on this thing. Wow. That's crazy. Blair, what were you going to say?
What is the Killing Joke? Is that like a superhero?
Yeah,
or?
so The Killing Joke is it's a comic, it's a Batman comic storyline that is one of the darkest. It was one of the first stories that really took Batman and the Joker into this really, really dark place. They ended up doing an animated film of it, which was okay. It wasn't great. The basic story of The Killing Joke is Joker's been released from Arkham, or like he escaped from Arkham, of course. Ta-da! And he wants to prove a point. He wants to prove in Gotham that nobody is safe, including the safest of safe people like Commissioner Gordon. So his daughter, Barbara Gordon, she plays Batgirl in the comics.
Right.
So Barbara Gordon is visiting her father at home, and there's a knock at the door, and there's Joker. Barbara opens the door, not knowing who's on the other side, and Joker's there with a gun, shoots her in the stomach. The bullet goes through her spine. She is now become paralyzed for the rest of her life, and she goes from being Batgirl to being Oracle, which that's a whole other thing. He kidnaps Barbara Gordon, whom he kidnaps both Gordon and Barbara, Commissioner Gordon and Barbara. He strips Commissioner Gordon naked, goes to a fun house, and forces Commissioner Gordon to ride one of those like slow-moving funhouse rides, all bound and gagged, while having to look at all these pictures that Joker has put up on the walls of him violating his daughter in terrible, terrible ways, who has just been shot in the stomach and paralyzed.
Whoa!
Yeah,
God.
That's the story of The Killing Joke. And of course, like Batman shows up at the end, and there's kind of like this epic battle.
What took him so long?
It ends with Batman kind of having this one-on-one talk with Joker, and
Coffee.
well, I mean, like after they have this epic battle, and it's really interesting the way the panels play out, because Batman tells some kind of a joke, and Joker's like, hey, I think that's the first time you ever told a joke. And Joker starts laughing, and then Batman starts laughing. And then, like, as the panels progress from panel to panel, you see, like, here's Joker and Batman. And then you see just Joker. And then you see off camera that they're both still laughing. And then the last panel is just Batman laughing. So it implies, like, why isn't Joker laughing anymore off screen? Did Batman like choke him to death while he's laughing? It's like, it's crazy dark.
My visual went to immediately just them laughing, freeze frame, executive producer Miller Boyette. That's a sitcom reference, in case you didn't get that
Full
one.
House right there.
Yes.
That is a Full House reference. That is a deep cut. Okay, so you guys, we have talked about everything under the sun except for our main topics today. If you haven't already done so, please become a subscriber to Gotta Love Them Movies on YouTube. Just click that red subscribe button. With the more subscribers we get, the more watched content the channel gets, and with the more watched content the channel gets, hopefully I get to make this show my full-time job. So I very much appreciate your love and support there. As always, guys, if you have an idea for a topic or some kind of a comment or a question you want to send it to me, send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com. We'll make your comment, your topic, your question like a main topic on the show, as long as it's family friendly, you know, within reason. And, you know, we'll talk about all of that stuff here on Gotta Love Them Movies. All right, guys. Let's jump into some movie news here. The first thing we're going to talk about is Loki. So Disney just dropped the new Disney, I guess Loki show poster on Disney Plus, and we've already seen trailers for Loki. We've seen teases for Loki. We know that he's kind of been arrested by the Time Variant Authority, who's headed up by Owen Wilson. This television show looks bananas. This whole thing just looks crazy, but also like a really interesting crazy, kind of like a psychological thriller, if you will. But the big question has been, when is Loki coming out? We know that it's coming soon. We know that they're finished filming. We know that they're wrapping on post-production. But when is this show coming out? Well, we finally have word that this show is coming out on, of course, like, here I am talking about it, and I can't quite remember when it's coming out. It is coming out on June 11th, and here is the poster in all of its pride and glory. Of course, we see Loki standing in front of a timepiece, in front of a clock, and of course, like, all the hands of the clock are at different positions, and there's multiple hands of the clock. We see he is wearing some kind of an inhibitor collar on him to kind of most likely prevent him from doing his Loki tricks, mischievous tricks. We see him wearing the Time Variant Authority jumpsuit, most likely being arrested. He has his arms behind his back, again indicating that he's being under arrest, kind of thing. The title of the show, Loki, and original series streaming on June 11th. So these are the big revelations here. June 11th, we're going to get the new Loki series. So if we start from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which today drops the very first episode. There's 6 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let's just jump into our calendar here for a second, shall we? The 19th, the 26th, April 2nd, April 9th, April 16th, April 23rd will be the last Falcon and Winter Soldier show. And then we're going to have to go all through May, you guys. All through May. And, you know, the first weekend of June, we have nothing from Disney. Well, I'm saying nothing from Disney. Nothing from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah. So we're going to have a little bit of time. Now, as opposed to like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we have 2 weeks in between WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which, I mean, now it's starting today, so very excited for that. Blair, you watched all of WandaVision, and I know that you're currently wearing the It Was Agatha All Along. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I had to get that.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier starts today. Loki starts almost a month and a half after Falcon and the Winter Soldier ends. Have you seen the teaser trailers? Have you seen the trailers? Have you seen the poster for Loki? What did you think of it? Like, where do you think this show is going to go?
Well, first of all, I just have to say that the whole Marvel and the Disney, like everything they're doing is brilliant, because I will say up until probably WandaVision, I had a very kind of passing acquaintance with all the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And it was more or less kind of a social thing to do just with my friends,
Sure.
Back when, we could do that thing. That was fun.
You remember Social?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was going to say socialism, but that's something completely different. You remember socialism?
Oh, yeah. It's good times. Love it. So, yeah, specifically with WandaVision, that's what's kind of like pulled me in, because at my true heart, I'm a sitcom nerd. I love all things sitcom, so it really tapped into that love. So that's what's kind of pulled me in. So with the show, normally it wouldn't have been something that would have been on my radar, something I would have been looking forward to. Yeah. But now it's just because of WandaVision, they got me. So now I'm kind of like sucked in. So I'm very curious, and I've been trying to catch up with all the movies. We've started watching them in their order. Much I know that they're kind of relation to the universe. I will say I will be watching because of WandaVision.
Yeah. Are you familiar at all with any of the stuff brought out in the teaser trailer, like the Time Variant Authority? Are you familiar with that? Are you familiar with any of the characters, or like? Because you say like you've been kind of a passive, I don't want to say a passive fan, but just kind of a more social fan of the MCU. So like the specifics, the meanings as to why this show exists, is that lost on you at all?
Not totally. I bet you're like, wow, he's a great guest today.
Oh, not at all.
So I saw Captain America when it first came out. And like, again, it was like I watched it, but I just took it for face value and wasn't really trying to connect the dots. So upon rewatching, I'm starting to get, because the guy in the, what's the show coming out today called?
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Because the white dude, he was in Captain America, and they were like soldiers together.
Yes.
See, I'm getting it.
They were best friends.
I'm good.
They grew up together.
So I'm getting the connections. So I'll probably have to do a lot of rewatching upon watching the first episode. Thank God my roommate is like well versed and he's like explaining it to me.
See, that's the same thing with Kim, my fiance, is that she watched the MCU to kind of get me interested in asking her out on a date. So she's like, "Hey, so I've been watching these Marvel movies and I hear you're a fan. What should I watch next?" Of course, like,
that's interesting.
It was very, very coy. And I'm like, "Oh, you want to come over to my place and watch The Winter Soldier? Huh? Spoiler alert.
And the whole time she's just like, "Hey, you're really cute." You're like,
this
is a big moment.
Is playing. Yeah. Spoiler alert, we didn't watch The Winter Soldier that night. Anyway, Tales out of school. But yeah, question for you guys. I'm curious to see, what are you most excited about when it comes to Loki? Do you like that we now actually have a date, that it's coming out on June 11th? Do you wish it was earlier? Do you think it should be earlier, being that, we're going to have to wait about a month and a half after Falcon and the Winter Soldier ends? Would you have liked to have seen it a little earlier, or do you like that space? Do you like that buffer? Do you wish it was even a little bit more? Because we are getting Black Widow. I mean, currently, does this also solidify the Black Widow release date in May, so that it's, we're getting regular MCU projects? What are your thoughts? I'm interested. Jump down to the comment section below. All right, guys, moving on to our next bit of movie news. Now, okay, so we're going to talk about Jim Carrey possibly being rumored to be the villain in Deadpool 3. I have a few thoughts about this. First and foremost, This news, here, let me jump into the article real quick. This news it's all coming from one source, and that is right here, Mr. Daniel Rickman. Daniel Rickman is kind of I don't know how to put this. He's like a self-proclaimed Hollywood insider. He's like a one-man news outlet, like Variety or The Hollywood Reporter or Deadline or Rolling Stone or like Collider or anything like that. And he claims all the time, and in order to get his exclusive content, you have to be a subscriber to his Patreon, which, hey, good for him that he has created this incredible business for himself surrounding insider Hollywood news and insider tips and stuff like that. Now, Daniel Rickman has gotten a couple of things right, but the vast majority of stuff that Daniel Rickman puts out on his Patreon, puts out on his Twitter, as a self-proclaimed Hollywood insider, is pure conjecture. It's pure conjecture. I don't doubt that he heard this information from someone somehow tangentially related to the project of Deadpool 3. I don't doubt that he heard something, but there's no way to verify what it is that he's saying. Here's the thing, guys. If you hear news, any kind of movie news coming out on, first of all, we got this covered, that's your first red flag. If we got this covered is breaking the story, chances are very likely it's not true. If you hear this story on Cosmic Book News, chances are, not comicbook.com, cosmicbook.com, or Cosmic Book News, whatever. Not going to be true. On this particular website here, this is not Cinema Blend, this is Cinema Blind. Not the same thing. Probably not going to be true. If you don't see these types of headlines popping up in Deadline, The Hollywood Reporter, Rolling Stone, maybe even Collider. Collider's, they're kind of, same thing with Movie Web or The Wrap. They're a little bit more gossipy, rumor-centric. But yeah, if you're not seeing it on Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, Rolling Stone, or Deadline, those are the legit trades, you guys. So these types of headlines, I'm not going to believe until I see it in a major trade. I'm not going to believe it until I see it in a major trade. Now, here's the thing. Let's just go ahead and assume for a second that this is real. I don't think Jim Carrey is the worst casting to play a villain in the MCU and also Deadpool. But I also don't know. I don't find it that likely. Let me jump over here to a news report. Do you guys remember when the movie Kick-Ass came out? Or rather, Kick-Ass 2 in, was it like 2013? Something like that? Well, here on news outlet Fox 40, they posted an article back from 2013 about how Jim Carrey is vehemently against violence, not just in movies, but specifically in that movie, Kick-Ass 2. He played a character, it was a wacky villain, it was this over-the-top, like, violent stuff, and then Sandy Hook happened. Now, if you're not familiar with Sandy Hook was an extremely tragic school shooting amongst small, young elementary school students. It was horrible, it was tragic, it was terrible. So Sandy Hook happened. And then Jim Carrey, upon the release of his new film, kind of came out and he's like, guys, I had a lot of fun making this movie, but the events of Sandy Hook have really made me reevaluate my priorities in life. And I cannot, in good conscience, endorse this movie that's coming out because of how it glorifies violence. In his purview, this movie, Kick-Ass 2, was glorifying violence and saying, oh, violence is fine. Gratuitous violence is fine as long as it's kept within, the confines of like this movie and whatever. To him, no. To him, it's kind of the same thing. and it encourages this type of violence. I'm not saying it does. I'm not taking a stance here. I'm just saying this was Jim Carrey's perspective. So if maybe things have changed in the past 8 years for Jim Carrey. Maybe they have. Maybe it's very possible that he sees things differently now as what he did back in 2013. We know that Jim Carrey has been a very active pacifist in terms of violence, in terms of gun control and stuff like that. So to see him pop up in a Deadpool 3 movie as the main villain, I don't know. I mean, he's playing Dr. Robotnik in Sonic the Hedgehog. Now that's a completely different kettle of fish. It's not the same type of violence. It's silly, it's fun, it's wacky, it's action centric. It's not violence centric. So I don't know, Blair. You're seeing this, you're hearing this. Jim Carrey's stance as well as I do on violence in movies. Do you think that anything has changed on his behalf? First of all, second of all, what do you think of the possibility of Jim Carrey playing a villain in an upcoming Deadpool 3 film? And also, the big question of the day, is this news even credible?
Well, I'm going to answer the last question first. I'm going to take it as credible. So then that way, if it turns out not to be true, I can play the victim and use that tonight. Like I've been lied to. Classic media. I don't know. I was listening to the story and I think he would be a perfect fit for that movie.
Oh, I agree.
It's hard to say because that movie did come out a long time ago. And keep in mind, when something big like Sandy Hook happens, everyone is sensitive and they immediately go to they want everyone to feel comforted and whatnot. Right. And so, and that's not to say he didn't mean what he said, but as time progressed, it's possible he changed, or maybe he's working. Maybe there's a conversation to be had that he's working to kind of maybe make it less violent in a way, or if it's so violent that it's cartoony violence.
Right.
Maybe he would be more susceptible to that. So I don't know. It's really hard to say. It really could go either way. I don't know if I really have a hard-pressed decision either way, but I think I would love to see him in a movie with Ryan Reynolds.
No.
Have they done a movie together?
Jim Carrey and Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. I mean, I don't think they have. If you guys can think of a Ryan Reynolds, Jim Carrey movie, jump down to the comment section below and let us know. Yeah, I don't think they have. But I think that pairing would be genius together.
But it could also be very bad because they do have kind of some similarities. So it could be when you have two of the same thing, right. It could be a little bit much. I don't know.
Let me ask you, what do you think of rumor mill website? And, one could even argue the case. Us talking about this topic on this show is hypocritical of me and this brand.
But you know what? You got to fill time.
Got to fill that time. What do you think of these rumor mill websites perpetuating this kind of stuff and saying, "Oh, Daniel Richtman is reporting this, so it's got to be true." But the major trades, nobody's talking about it.
I go back and forth. Because on the one hand, I'll read it and I'll get excited. And then on the other hand, when it doesn't happen, I will get super annoyed. But maybe, crazy thought, maybe it's this guy's I want this to happen, so I'm going to put it into the universe. Maybe he's doing an Oprah thing where he's trying to manifest this. And maybe Jim Carrey would see it. He'd be like, you know what? I haven't been approached, but I should be if people are talking about it. So maybe it's kind of pushing it to actually.
I'd be okay with that. Do you remember back in, I want to say it was 2008, 2009, something like that. It was right after the MCU got started. Somebody started these rumors that the X-Men were being merged into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And
I still keep hearing that.
well, I mean,
Isn't that
it's more credible now because Disney actually
Yeah.
bought 20th Century Fox. It's not happening yet because Kevin Feige already has like the next 5 years planned out. So he knows the sequence of events that's going to happen, but that's not going to happen quite yet. But going all the way back then, I started hearing rumors that Spider-Man had just been acquired by Disney in the MCU, that X-Men had just been acquired by the Disney in the MCU, and I was losing my mind. They were completely false. There was absolutely no truth behind these rumors whatsoever. But that's what websites like We Got This Covered or Cosmic Book News that were perpetuating, and it was getting me so excited. And when I found out that it was fake, that it was false, my hopes and dreams just dashed horribly.
I mean, I think if you go into it reading them like, this could be fiction, but it's nice to kind of like tap into that imagination of like, ooh, what if?
Yeah.
Kind of takes your mind off like, you know, your current surroundings. I think it's fun. I think if you go into it with an awareness like, this is probably not real, but
True, but
it's fun to imagine.
I would also argue that the general public doesn't have that awareness that this is a non-credible website reporting on this stuff.
Prior to this show, I had never heard of those sites, so knowing me, I probably would have saw that and be like, oh, that's cool.
All right, guys, what I want to know from you is, what do you think of the rumors of Jim Carrey playing the villain in the upcoming Deadpool 3 movie? Do you think they're credible? Do you think that Daniel Rickman actually has some credible information on his hands? Or are you more like me and you're like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it in one of the major trades? What are your thoughts and opinions? Jump on down to the comment section below. All right, guys, moving on to our last bit of movie news today. Next weekend, we finally get to see a lizard fight a monkey in Godzilla vs. Kong. Bum, bum, bum. Now, Variety, which is one of the major trades, is kind of reporting that this movie is currently set to be the biggest blockbuster smash of the pandemic. If you look at what previous films have made, if you look at what, if you think about what life was like before the pandemic, this movie could have made a lot more money than it's projected to. But even still, that being said, here on Variety's website, they do a breakdown of projected what it would have made pre-pandemic, and then also what it's forecasted to make in its 3-day opening. So pre-pandemic projected, it probably would have made around the $68 million mark, somewhere through there. As it currently rests, it's probably going to bring in somewhere around $23.7 million, which, I mean, in a COVID world, that's nothing to sneeze at, you guys. Being that Tenet currently is the highest grossing, it's the biggest box office weekend of all time, like during the pandemic, which I think was $20 million. Godzilla versus Kong is probably going to blow that out of the water by a big $3 million. So, I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's kind of exciting news, not for Godzilla versus Kong per se. I mean, hey, credit where credit is due, right? Warner Brothers and HBO Max have done their due diligence in advertising this movie. In conjunction, we have vaccines being rolled out around the world, and specifically in the United States. More specifically, in the New York and Los Angeles market. Those are the two biggest money-making markets for Hollywood, period. And now Governor Cuomo and Governor Gavin Newsom out in California, they have opened up New York City cinema theaters, and same thing in Los Angeles. The movie theaters have reopened once again. Now everything is at like very limited capacity. I think it's 30% capacity is what they're being or 25% capacity, something like that. It's very, very low. But with movie theaters in New York and LA now opening, with vaccines being rolled out in larger doses than what they had been previous, And the projections that people are probably going to start going out back to the movies. The weather's starting to get a little bit nicer. People have been cooped up all winter, all year, really. And they're just begging for something new to do. Blair, this just seems like a win to me. This shows, of course, like, we have to actually wait for the movie to come out next weekend. And then, we'll see the box office results afterwards. But I don't know. I don't see this as anything but good news, and good news for Black Widow, good news for James Bond, good news for all the rest of the movies slated to come out. I see these box office results getting better and better and better. As long as we can continue to do things safely, as long as no contact tracing has come back to the theaters, which to date it hasn't, I see this as wonderful news. But do you have a different take on this? Maybe do you feel like we shouldn't be going back to the theaters? What are your thoughts?
Well, so my friend back in Virginia, he sent me a message. He was like, "I'm back in the theater. It's so great." And like my reaction was a little mixed. Because, I mean, I'm just like, I cannot be in this stupid apartment anymore. Like, in the beginning, I was, like, thriving. I was like, ugh, I'm making this work. But now it's like, once we hit that year mark, I was like, I've done this. So I'm optimistic because the vaccines are getting rolled out. And I haven't gotten vaccinated yet, but I was in close proximity.
I know a guy that got vaccinated.
I know someone who got vaccinated. Well, no, because for my job, we were doing a recording session, and we were doing it as safely as possible. We were in kind of close quarters. I lucked out and did not get COVID, but one of the people there did get COVID. But the third person that was there had the vaccine completely fine. So that tells me it works, hopefully. To date, I haven't heard anything, and that was like 2 months ago. So yeah, I guess I'm optimistic. I don't know what I'm saying. I just got to get out of my apartment.
You've been cooped up too long. You need mental stimulant in your brain.
I think I'm just rambling at this point. I don't know if there was a coherent sentence in that thought pattern. Take that out.
I know what you're talking about because, like, I myself, okay. I've been vaccinated because, as you guys know, in
rub it in.
Yo, that good old vaccination. Delicious. I've been vaccinated. As you guys know, in my other job, I work as a flight attendant. I'm not going to tell you what company, but, I do.
Oh, I will.
It's yeah, I work for Airlines. And, as an essential worker, I kind of need to be vaccinated to do my job. So, it does make me feel more at ease. Now, I have adopted all through this quarantine process, I have the most meticulous, like, cleaning habits. Like, I carry a bottle of spray alcohol with me. So I touch a doorknob, I spray my hands down. I put my debit card in the chip reader, and then, I put my PIN in, I spray my hands down, right? I understand most people don't do this. I wish most people did, but that's just me. That's my own neuroses. When I go to the movie theaters, I bring my own Lysol wipes and I wipe the seat down. I wipe out the cup holder. I wipe the little buttons that put your seat up and down. I wipe everything down, and of course, keep the mask on. Nobody else keeps their mask on in a theater, which is ridiculously annoying to me. But, all that being said, first of all, I'm excited to see this movie. I'm excited to see Kong versus Godzilla. This is like the first big budget blockbuster, stupid action movie. It's going to be stupid, you guys. It's a monkey fighting a lizard amongst, like, buildings. Like, we are the size of ants when compared to them. This movie is going to be so dumb. But, like, it looks like a fun dumb. I'm looking forward to having dumb, fun, mind-numbing action on a big screen. That's what I'm looking forward to. Get me my tub of popcorn. Get me some Swedish fish or...
cookie dough bites.
Cookie dough. Oh, man. Like, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to... not just seeing the movie, but having other audiences exposed to coming back to the theaters. Yes, this movie is going to be on HBO Max. Yes, this movie is going to be available, in other markets around the world on various platforms. Great. Wonderful. Because it means that other people are going to be able to see this movie. But to me, it's not just about seeing the movie. It's not about seeing the story that happens on screen. It's about preserving the theatrical experience and making it special again. I think in this COVID world, we've become so reliant on our streaming services, which we have to. Like, what other options do we have? Buying a projector and going out into your backyard and like projecting a movie onto a big white sheet. That's the option that we have. So, Blair, I'm really looking forward to, yes, for me going back to the theater. I've been going back to the theaters a few times a week ever since they opened up in New York. But I'm excited for other people to start coming back to the theaters. Did you ever see Avengers Endgame in theaters?
No. I've gotten the sob stories from all my friends. I have seen, what was the one before that?
Infinity War?
Was that the one right before it?
Oh, right before
Right before
I think it was
Endgame?
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh,
Or
as
Captain
far as
Marvel.
Avengers goes.
Oh, yeah. The Avengers, yeah. It was Avengers, Age of
Yeah.
Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame.
Okay, yeah. So I saw the one before that one. I haven't seen that one yet because we watched that in between WandaVision episodes because he was like, well, you really need to see this episode as to why this happened. So
Yeah.
that was just a long no.
Well, but you have seen the movie, though. You have seen Endgame. Like, even if...
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the scene in Endgame where, like, Thanos is kicking everybody's butt, all the heroes are down, Captain America is the only one standing, and then you see Thor's hammer... You see Mjolnir start to be like shrouded in lightning, and then it lifts itself up, and you're like, hang on a second. What is happening right now? And then you see Thanos, and he's like, oh, you will never defeat me. And then the camera pans to Captain America, and he catches Mjolnir, and he's holding the shield in one arm, and he just caught Mjolnir in the other. And the entire theater erupted with applause and cheers, and it was electric. It was magnifying. Those are the moments that I am the most passionate about saving and preserving, because we can watch that. You can watch that at home all you want, and you'll kind of be like, oh, that was a cool moment. Oh, I like that they did that. But when you're in the theater and you experience it with 40,000 other people screaming, not that theaters are holding 40,000.
I was like, what theater is
Wait,
this?
you never been to IMAX before?
Apparently not.
But like, we have these roars of applause and cheer, and there's no way to replicate that unless you're in a room full of people.
What was it like when you went back to the theater the first time? Was there other people, or is it just you?
I want to say there was other people. The first movie we saw back in theaters, it was last summer, I believe.
Oh, how long have theaters been closed? I feel like they've been closed since the beginning of the pandemic,
they have.
but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was since April. I think movie theaters shut down last April.
Okay.
I want to say it was July or August. I want to say it was August. So Kim and I went down to Orlando. Her father was having kind of like a miniature family reunion down there. So we're like, okay, we'll go hang out with you guys in Orlando. I was ridiculously skittish about it because I'm like, you guys, things are really bad in Florida right now. Why are we going to Orlando? But while we're there, I've heard all the reports about like, well, some movie theaters have opened back up, and Orlando was one of those. And we thought, we feel that there's a safe way to go back to theaters. Theaters had changed their filtration system, their air filtration systems. Theaters had implemented like these brand new cleaning procedures where like everything gets hosed down by an electrostatic sprayer. I, of course, bring all of my wipes and cleaning material. So I figure like, all right, even if people take their masks off, which I hope that they don't, but even if they do, we are so socially distanced from each other that chances of catching anything are slim to none. And on top of that,
Right.
you have all the extra precautions. Like, yes, wear your mask and everything's being wiped down and like cleansed and all that stuff. So I felt so yeah, Orlando was our first time going back to the theaters. And it was a wonderful experience. There was nobody in the theater except for maybe like one or two other people, and we're all like.
What about since like the vaccines and everything have been administered?
I have been back to the theaters.
And more importantly, how was the popcorn?
Oh, it's terrible. I feel like the popcorn was left over from last year.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like it's more prevalent in New York City because there's more people in New York than there is most other places in the world. So yeah, I went to go see Raya and the Last Dragon. Was it last week? Yeah, about a week ago, and I would say it was filled to capacity at like 30%.
Wow.
And there was.
Well, I will say when I was walking down 34th Street, I guess a week or two, whenever they first opened, and I saw the theater.
Yeah.
At 34th and 8th, when I saw like the boards had been taken down and the lights were off, it did fill me with like this overwhelming sense of hope. I was like, this is a good feeling.
Yeah. It's like, I remember when those boards got put up for the first time and we're all walking around like, wait a second, why did you board up Sephora? Why did you board up Barnes & Noble? Why did you board up like AMC Theaters? Like, it just felt like doomsday.
Yeah.
Anyway, we could keep talking about this round robin forever, but you guys, question is for you guys. Godzilla versus Kong, are you looking forward to its success? Do you think it actually will be as successful as what this article in Variety is projecting? Do you think it's going to make more money than Tenet did on its opening weekend? I sure hope so. Is this going to entice people to come back to the theaters? What are your thoughts? Jump on down to the comment section below and let's have a conversation about it. All right, guys, we've now reached that part of the show where we're going to jump into the comment section and take your live questions.
It's alive! It's alive!
All right, you guys. Crip has been sending in tons of messages. All right, we addressed a few of them at the beginning of the show, but let's go through and take a few more. So I think the last we were talking about was the first print of Killing Joke. Crip says, by the way, your Snyder Cut opinions. Okay, so Crip, I'm gonna do a separate live stream after this. As soon as this show is over, give me like 10-15 minutes. I'm gonna start a brand new live stream where it's going to be exclusively spoiler talk, everything surrounding Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm going to put all my thoughts and opinions there, so hang on for that. Crip says there are many British accents. No, there are many British accents. Yeah, so Blair, I'm going to throw that to you. There are many British accents. My first English accent I ever adopted was because I was living in Ireland with a guy from Essex, and as a way, I hated this guy. Oh man, he was just the worst. I did not like this guy at all. And so as my way of making fun of him, I would mimic his accent and it wasn't even like a typical Essex accent. It was more generic, like English. It was a little bit more polished and refined. But yeah, I just started. Oh man, I haven't done it in years. Now I feel like a tool. Oh yeah, I just do it. Anyway,
well, I will say as a performer, my abilities are super limited. So, like anytime someone's like, "Can you?" This is a random aside. I remember I was auditioning for a play. It was Dracula.
Ooh.
And I didn't get it. But the script said I had to read in a Cockney accent. And for whatever reason, that day, I forgot what Cockney meant, and I just equated it with Boston. So I was doing a Boston accent. I can't do a Boston accent. So it literally sounded like I was like learning to read for the first time. So
That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
I say all that to say this: I'm stupid and not good at accents.
I feel like that's me as well. Crip goes on to say, my comic guy is solid. I don't know the grade. I should get it graded. He says that he spent £50 on The Killing Joke. Yeah, Crip, if you have the opportunity, definitely get it graded because it's worth getting graded. There may not be a lot of intrinsic value there after getting it graded, but it is like, take this guy for instance. This Ninja Turtle comic, yes, it's been signed and it has like an original illustration from Kevin Eastman himself, who created Ninja Turtles. This particular copy, while not cheap, is not the most expensive collectible that I have in my collection. It is it's more for the sentimental value of it, and it preserves the comic itself. So if I were you, definitely I would spend the money to go get it graded and get it like professionally packaged and everything. I think you'll definitely appreciate that. Crip goes on to say, tell him Alan Moore wrote it. My favorite writer, by the way. Yeah, so Blair, the writer of the story The Killing Joke was Alan Moore. Some of Alan Moore's most famous work was The Watchmen, if you're familiar with Watchmen.
Okay. Yeah.
Watchmen kind of revolutionized what superhero stories could be. So he, Also, while he didn't write or draw The Dark Knight Returns, the comic, that storyline, it was by Frank Miller, that also completely revolutionized comic stories in just making them, yes, darker, but also like grounded in something real and important. Crip says, I did a book report of it recently and got a good review on it. I mean, how can you not? How can you not, Crip? The Killing Joke is so epic in its storytelling, in its content. It's edgy, it pushes the boundaries, and it has some excellent social commentary attached to it. Blair, are you obviously you haven't read The Killing Joke, but just kind of based on what we're talking about here with Killing Joke, how would you approach something like that? And what are, again, based on the very limited description that I gave you earlier, what are some things that jump out to you as things that wow, this is not your father's comic book story?
Right. Well, it definitely sounded dark, especially the part where he's on that ride and just watching footage of his daughter being just taken advantage of. That sounds super dark. I don't even know if I would be, just hearing that, I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of the same philosophy as what is it? Sorry, is my mic being weird?
Yeah, but you're fine.
I'm trying to not move it. No, because kind of in the same vein, my sister's been trying to get me to watch Handmaid's Tale, and she described the first episode, and I was like, no. I'm like, I don't want to watch it. She's like, oh, you have to. It's so good. And I'm aware it's good, but for me, it just did. It just seemed too dark, and I'm like, not at least not in this stage where we're at pandemically. Right. Maybe I'll approach it when things aren't as trapped feeling.
Well, what else is good is the Joker movie, but I also understand that is not a movie for everyone. It's it's tragic and it's violent and it's in some ways gross, but I loved it.
I've been trying to keep it light and fluffy. The last movie I saw was Barb and Star, to put it in perspective for you.
What a breath of fresh air. Oh, I loved that movie. It's not a good movie, but it's fun.
My favorite part is when they're on the plane and they're talking about Trish, this fictional Trish.
Oh, for me, I think it was the talking. Was it the talking crab? The Morgan Freeman talking crab?
Oh, that was weird. I forgot about that.
That was just bizarre, but I loved it. Oh, it was so fun. All right. What else does Crip have to say? Doop boop boop a doop a doo. Is that? Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. He says, did her book report. Hold on. Is this not coming up? F5. Oh, I know, right? F5. Why is this not scrolling? It's scrolling on my computer, but it's not. It ain't scrolling up here. All right. Let me see if. Sorry, guys. This is. I know, right? Control Alt Delete. All right. I'm just gonna read it straight from the webpage itself. Book report. I would like a Joker show where it talks about the three Jokers. A show. I'm guessing for maybe like an HBO Max type show where it talks about the three Jokers. There, correct me if I'm wrong, Crip. Isn't I know the three Jokers comes out of the Killing Joke, but are you referring to like the flashback Joker and then modern day Joker? And wasn't there also like an alternate version? I can't. Please jog my memory there. I vaguely remember what you're talking about. He says maybe one of them can be played by Mark Hamill. And they both did DC. Yeah. Mark Hamill is regarded universally as quite possibly the best iteration of Joker that we've ever had. I mean, yes, this is it may be a little controversial to say, especially based on how great Jack Nicholson's performance was, how incredible Heath Ledger's performance was, and let us not forget Cesar Romero. I think Jared Leto definitely has some merit in there. It was a completely wackadoo version. There's some merit in there. Joaquin Phoenix crushed it.
I believe you're mispronouncing it. I think it's Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. I'm embarrassed.
It's a common mistake.
I'm very embarrassed now. Joaquin Phoenix. I'm so sorry. I feel like that's right up there with Adele Dazeem.
Yeah.
That's how you pronounce her name, right? Adele Dazeem.
I mean, I read it how it looks.
As it should be. As it should be.
That's why I'm not getting too many callbacks.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. All right, guys. I think that will do it. That's all of our live comments today on the show. Blair, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Just sit around and pontificate.
So busy.
I know, right?
I think I'm gonna go take a nap now.
Are you laying in bed? Where are you?
I am in bed. This is my bedroom. I do literally. I think I spend probably how many hours are in a day? 24. I probably spend about 18 hours in this bed. Okay. And then I usually take a shower by mid-afternoon to go to the living room.
So you're like one of our cats, Harwood.
But I think I have a more cheerier disposition than a cat.
Oh, having known Harwood and lived with Harwood for quite a while now, yeah, 1,000%.
I would say I'm a cat with the personality of a dog.
Harwood is a ripe SOB.
You know what? I'm going to use that headline on my Tinder profile.
Blair Peyton, ripe SOB. Blair, can you plug for us one more time your podcast and where people can find you online?
Oh my gosh, I would love to. So my podcast is called You Go First. It's available literally on every single podcast app. And if it's not on there yet, let me know and I'll get it on there. I also do video versions of the show sometimes, so you can check that out on YouTube as well. It's I Need Help Productions. All my social handles are at Blair Peyton. I try to keep it consistent. Although, TikTok, Someone got there first, so it's the Blair Peyton.
Tickety
I know.
tockety.
I'm not happy about it. I know. And one other thing. So I have a show on Amazon Prime that you should watch. They're like 5 minutes long, so you got time.
Yes.
And there's 10 episodes. It's called Two Dimes. We're hoping to do a season 2. It's written. We just got to get through the pandemic. So. Yeah.
But are
That's all
they
I got.
out? Are they streaming?
We actually did the show in 2018, and then I was able to get them on Amazon Prime last summer. So, yeah, they've been out for a while, but they've just been on Amazon Prime for about 8 months now. And, yeah, season 2 is written.
And what's the name of it again?
And it's called Two Dimes.
Got it.
Yes. And it stars me and the very talented, very funny Lauren Hobbs, who I met
And
through
what's it
improv.
about?
It's basically, how do I describe it? So it's like, think Will and Grace, but with the heart of Parks and Rec and the visual style of 30 Rock.
Cool.
So it's basically two friends that are out to prove they're more than a dime a dozen.
Aww.
There you go. Two
That's
dimes.
awesome. One of the things that I love about being in this world is you'll just sit down and just put on the TV, just watch a movie, watch a television show, and then friends, like actual close friends of yours, pop up in these television shows. It's the craziest thing. Like being a New York improviser, you were so well connected with this world. We're watching, what was the show with Ali Shawkat?
Search Party?
We're watching Search Party, and there's like 5.
Oh
or
yeah, I
6,
saw so many people
right?
in that.
You know, like everybody. There was a girl that I taught how to do solo improv, and that she popped up because you know I do solo improv. I taught her how to do this thing, or like I trained her a little bit. Brr, there she is. Plenty of other people I know. It's nuts.
Well, watch the show, and if you like it, we still got to cast season 2. So,
Do you are you casting for hair? Best hair?
I mean, that's one of the main requirements we're looking for in several
I see what you did
characters.
there.
Like, if you don't have good hair,
I see.
don't
I
even
see
talk
what
to
you
me.
did there. Main characters.
And you'll probably recognize, because a lot of people in the show are people I met through improv, so you'll probably recognize.
Beautiful. I love it.
Probably a lot
I
of
love
people.
it.
Yeah.
Blair, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for having your
Thank you for having me.
insight and just your own thoughts and perspective.
What little I had.
Hey, you call it little perspective, but it's a completely different side of the coin than we usually get to have on the show. So I appreciate that. You're beautiful. You're a beautiful human. Thank you so much. And definitely go check out first of all, Two Dimes on Amazon, and go check out my episode of You Go First, found on all streaming podcast stuff.
Yeah, it's literally everywhere. And if you don't find it, then you're not looking hard enough, and it's attack.
I agree. So do it. All right, guys, if you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what Mr. Blair Peyton would want you to do with You Go First. Anyway, guys, if you have an idea for a topic or a question or anything you think that I should be made aware of, send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com. And we'll make your topic or question a main point to discuss, a main discussion point here on the show. Anyway, guys, we live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions, and sometimes those thoughts and opinions clash. So if you have an opportunity to infuse a little bit of kindness into the world today, be it through discussions or kind words or random acts of kindness, please, I implore you, take those opportunities. As always, on behalf, in the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. I will see you guys, hopefully, on Monday.